why when God appears to you and say you are highly favored, because sometimes what follows that statement is controversy. Read your Bible. He said you are highly favored. You thought that immediately after that you will see people who will come together with gifts and say, Mary, you mean God appeared to you? The favor of God can be very controversial, and he calls it favor. How do you explain that you are pregnant and yet you claim you are a virgin? And instead of God to now speak and defend you, he now keeps quiet. Learn how to live in the silence of God, my dear people. Joseph went to the prison and he stayed there. Even in his confusion and pain, he was in the will of God. And one day, watch this, he saw two people and he interpreted their dreams. And he said, please, when you go to Pharaoh, he didn't say tell him to make me king. He said, all I want is to get out of this place. Please tell Pharaoh I'm innocent. And the man got there. Guess what happened? He forgot him. 2 years. If you are Joseph and you come out and become prime minister, who is the first person you are going to deal with? You will first deal with the wine presser, followed by Potiphar's wife. When he became king, it was unnecessary. When the will of God is manifest in your life, there are battles that become unnecessary. You have won. Are you learning this now? So after 2 years, in patience, the voice of God was about to come. Let me tell you, even when you enter the season of his voice, you will not know you are that close. It will be one morning and then the king sent for Joseph. Just like somebody came for koinonia here tonight, you don't know that the voice of his majesty, after 10 years, after 15 years, after 20 years, after 5 years, after 2 months, finally his majesty is about to speak. Sit down. Let me tell you how God speaks. When God is speaking to end your seasons, he does not come as a still small voice. Read your Bible. When it has to do with bringing your season to an end, he comes in majesty. He will do things that will let them, it will be impossible to doubt that he's the one that came. Hallelujah. And on that morning, Joseph got up in the morning. How are you, dear prisoners? How are you, Joseph? God bless you. It's been a long time. 2 years plus. We don't know how long he stayed in the prison. We know that the 2 years was from the time the one presser left. So X number of years plus 2 years. He didn't know that that morning he will be prime minister. The jailer did not know he was going to open the gate for his boss. Hear me. While you are praying and trusting God, Lord, if you will only give me a job of 200,000, I will be grateful. The day the voice of God comes to honor you for being patient through the season of silence, somebody will call you and say, I'm leaving Nigeria. I've been looking for someone to head my company. Can you come and do it for me? And you will think it's a lie. That when the Lord turned again the captivity of Zion, we were like them that dream. Please sit down. The king sent for Joseph and they brought him out of his dungeon. I'm sure his heart was beating when he came to stand, because they didn't tell him why they asked him to come out. If a king should send for you from prison, you are either going to go back or they will execute you. And I can imagine him shaking and standing before the king. Your Majesty. And the king said, well, I slept and I had a dream. And they say you can interpret dreams. Said, well, it is not within my power. God will give Pharaoh an answer of peace. This is what you saw, Pharaoh. This is what you saw. So what is the solution? Gather 20% of all of this and save for 7 years. And when he finished, Pharaoh said, since God revealed it to you, who else in Egypt is able to do this? I am Pharaoh, and it is only in the throne that you will be second to me. You become the administrator right away. Look up. There are many things he would have done when he was in prison. When he was in prison, he probably would have been gathering some money to build his own house and make meaning of his life. Everything he would have done if he were not in the prison came to him in one day. Read your Bible. A wife came in. He didn't need to look for a wife. Potiphera, the wife of the priest of On, his daughter, they gave him free. They changed his name. They put royal robe, everything in one day. Can I tell you, while you are waiting, don't be regretting what you would have been doing. It is already in the plan. The compensation is in the plan. Believe me when I tell you this. Shana Malakatosiata. The compensation has already been built. Hear me. I know, oh Hannah, that you've been waiting a long time for a child, but be patient. The child that is coming is not a normal child. He is the one who will anoint all the kings of Israel. So be patient. Hear me. Do you know why patience is powerful? Patience is powerful because it can help you to be able to gather together the kind of compassion you need through your pain, so that you will sustain certain results when they come. When certain destiny things come too easy, there is no memory bank of pain. You will be careless over many great things. But when you think Joseph had the time to be careless after spending X+2 years in the prison, the memory of his pain in the prison will not make him take his job lightly. That's why some of us press into this thing of God, because we know where he brought us from. Sit down, let's wrap up.